This is fantastic. You know, wow. This is so nice. You had no notice. I can't believe all these people. You had no notice. They just asked me to pop by. I'm going to be in another part of the state in about 2 hours. And they asked me to pop by and look at everybody shows up. That's incredible. That's incredible. Beautiful. And I appreciate it. You know, we had a nice flight in, and I said, there won't be any way I can do this. And they said, please, could you just come for a little while, just say a few words? And to have this kind of a turnout is just fantastic. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And I got here, and I have Miss South Carolina. Where is Miss South Carolina? Come on up here. Come here. So nice. So nice. So she just got back, actually, from Miss America, and she was top 7. Very impressive. And she has a fantastic voice. Would you like to see? I wouldn't mind. I'd rather have her sing than me talk, if you want to know the truth. Well, I want to just congratulate you, darling. It's a fantastic job. Great going. So, we have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to talk about, a lot of business, a lot of happenings over the last little while, and some of the cute things, but relatively unimportant, although maybe it is important. And if you want to stand, if everyone, there's some seats if you want, but stand if you want. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Huh? I love you too. I love you too. You know, it's funny. We talk about the press, and it's very interesting because I got here. We have all these great stories coming out. The polls are through the roof. You see what happens with the crowds on 10 minutes' notice. But the polls are through the roof. And here's one that they just reported, right? A poll. It's from Florida. Just came out. And here's the headline to show you about the press. Marco Rubio, who, by the way, has the worst attendance record in the U.S. Senate, has got the #1 worst attendance record, and they want him to be president, right? Marco Rubio passes Jeb Bush in the Florida poll. That's just a headline. Big story all over. So it says Marco Rubio passes Jeb Bush in the Florida poll. So I say, oh, that's too bad. I guess I thought I would do well in Florida. And then the first sentence is, Donald Trump is the winner. But I'm not in the headline. No, think about it. So here's the story. Rubio passes Bush, headline, big headline. But Trump has 31.5%. Rubio has 19.2%. And Bush has 11.3%. But I'm not in the headline. Now that tells you about the press, right? Do you think there's a little bit of a problem maybe that they have with me? I don't know. Here, you can, who wants it, right? Here, you got it. Give it to her. Then one that is even more bothersome, frankly, is Boeing. So Boeing, and I've been talking about this for a long time, Boeing is going to sell 300 jets to China. But as part of the deal, they're going to set up a massive plant in a big section of China. They're going to build planes over in China. And you tell me why. Why aren't they building them here and sending them? They're building them over there. They're going to build them over there. Believe me, that'll end up being their biggest. That'll end up being their best. That'll end up taking a tremendous number of jobs away from the United States. And people can say whatever they want, but that's not good stuff. China, I love Japan, I love them all. But we don't have the right people representing us. And you know that, right? Stand up. Will you stand up? What a great job. Come here. What a great job you've done. He got me over here. And you know what? I get a lot of money to make speeches and things. He got me for nothing, meaning he's a tough negotiator. Come here.
Thank you, sir. Great job. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Absolutely. Appreciate it.
I want him negotiating for us against China. But we have to take it back. We've got to take it back. We've got to get our people in line. We've got to do things that we just haven't done before. We have lost our way as a country. And we need business people. It's time to get business people in there. You know, when you talk about the African American Chamber of Commerce, I mean, you have people that are great business people. And it's one of the reasons you hear. So many people said, by the way, from your chamber, in the back room, we were meeting with very smart cookies. They all read The Art of the Deal. And you know what I got out of? Nothing. They don't give me 10%, right? But this group, they've all done great. And they should. Last night I did Colbert. Did anybody see that? So the ratings were phenomenal. It had like a 3.7. It beat The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, which I did last week. We had great ratings that too. And it was a great evening. And following me was the gentleman who's a very nice man, Ernest, who negotiated the pact with Iran. And I wrote, Colbert gave me a book. He said, would you do me a favor? Would you write something, a little note? And I wrote him a note. I said, better luck next time. And he was very nice. I mean, look, they're trying. They're trying very hard. But we got to do better. If we're going to make our country great again, look at all these people. We just have to do better. And so we can talk Iran deal. You've heard me before. Disaster. We can talk military. You've heard me before. We're going to build it up. We're going to make it so strong, nobody's going to be messing with us. Believe me. So strong, so good. We're not going to have to use it. I don't think. You know, a lot of these guys, and I say it, it really is terrible. They ask me, what are you going to do in Syria? What are you going to do? Are you going to attack Russia, start World War III? You know, Syria's, I don't want to start World War III over Syria, believe me. But are you going to start? And, you know, Bush got up, and so did Hillary. And she said, Trump's tone, his tone isn't nice. My tone. We need an energetic, we need people with energy. My tone. And, you know, they get up, and we need people that are somewhat unpredictable. I had an article recently, and it was said great things about me from a financial state. Trump's really smart. He's really great. They actually used the word genius, but I won't say that because I don't want to. But they said one of the people that competed with me and actually lost said he's totally unpredictable. You never know what he's going to do. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And I saw the other day where Marco was saying that I don't know that much about foreign policy. And I said, wait a minute. I don't like telling people what I want to do all the time. Does that make sense? I am the only one on that stage the other night, which I had a great time, but it shouldn't have been 3 hours. Who ever heard of a 3-hour? You know what happened with CNN? No. Now they're going to turn off their live feed. But you know what happened with CNN? CNN sold out the first 2 hours at record numbers. And they did record. It was the largest broadcast in the history of CNN. Think of it, with all the wars, with all the... This was number one. I wonder how many people would have been watching if I wasn't there. What do you think? Like 3? 3? So CNN was supposed to get $4,000, I guess, for a 30-second ad. Who knows? But it was supposed to be $4,000. And I think it went to $250. Would you say? They said it was a 4,000% increase, but then they said it was actually higher than projected. That's good by any standard. And they said, you know, I can't blame them. They said, who cares about these people? Who cares about even our audience? Because nobody wants to watch for 3 hours. But they said, we just sold out the first 2 hours at record numbers. So let's let these suckers stand up there for another hour in a room that was 100 degrees. That room was hot. I mean, poor Chris Christie. No, it's true. It's true. No, he's a nice guy. It wasn't fair. It was an amazing thing. I was like a piece of water. Rubio, I've never seen a young guy sweat that much. No, I've never seen, he's drinking water. I never saw anything like this with him with the water. And everybody, Huckabee, nice guy, he was seriously hot. He was soaking wet. I grabbed him around his back. I said, good job. And it was soaking wet. He was drenched. So they had us up there for 3 hours. And it was, I really had a good time. And every single poll, Drudge, Time Magazine, Slate, every poll said that Trump won the debate. Right? They all said, thank you, thank you. But the pundits don't say that. They really hate me. The pundits don't say that. The people say it, but the pundits. But then you're right. She just said, who cares? It's true. I tell these stories like I tell the story here on the Florida poll because the people, the thing I've learned more, and I said this to somebody the other day, the people are really smart. They really know what's going on. They don't believe. You would think if I'm sitting home watching television and I heard some of these people speaking, you would sort of, oh, that's right. That they don't believe the things that are said. They really are smart. The people that are watching, like the debates and everything else, I am so impressed. And I think more than anything else, that's what's impressed me most, is how really intelligent the public is. It's incredible. No, it's incredible. Thank you. So it's been an amazing journey for me. It's been a lot of fun. I never thought I'd be a politician in my life. He said, I'm not. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm not. I refuse. I refuse. So here's a poll that came out recently that I love because generally Republicans do not do well with African Americans. Do we agree in terms of voting? Okay? But here's one. Trump receives 25% of the black vote in general election matchup. 25%. Now, and that's in the general election. A very respected poll. Now, that's 25% of the black vote. As somebody said who's very much into this stuff, they said if you get 25% of the African American vote, the election's over. You win. It's unheard of. It's unheard of. And I have a lot of friends, African Americans in New York. They say, you're going to get most of the vote. I was actually disappointed with the 25%. And the standard number's like 9 or 8. What is it, like 8%? But they say the election's over. And there's another group. A lot of people didn't get up and vote for Mitt Romney. They didn't get up. They just stood home. And I don't exactly know why, but they stayed home. And you would have thought, had they voted, Romney would have won. Had they voted, but they didn't vote. So something happened. And it was just a lack of something. It was a lack of appeal. Why what? He calls it low energy. No, that could happen again, but with somebody else. Such an important term, energy. It's such an important term in so many different ways. You can be great, you can be wonderful. You got to have that boom. You got to have that enthusiasm. And if you don't have it, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So when I saw this, I was so happy. I was so thrilled to see it. Now, super PACs. I've been watching this whole process play out. And I've been saying, as you know, I'm self-funding my campaign. When I come here, when I turn that big, beautiful plane around, and it costs a lot of money so I can see you guys for a little while. It costs me a lot of money. I'm paying for it. I'm not saying like so many of the other people, like all of the other people, they're all looking for money. I'm not. In fact, I feel sort of stupid. Why aren't I doing it? I'm turning down millions and millions of dollars. I don't want it. Because what happens is when you give millions of dollars, I don't say the word own. In some cases, that's a correct word. But I don't say the word own. But certainly you have a lot of power over the person if he wins or she wins the election. Now, Carly is out there fighting like hell to raise money. No, she's trying to raise money. I don't know. She doesn't want to spend her own money. Maybe she doesn't have so much. I don't know what's going on there. But she wants to raise money. And she's fighting to raise money. And her business career was a disaster. And nobody wants to say it. They say, you can't say that because it's sexist. I say, what's sexist about it? I respect women more than I respect men. Are the men insulted by that, by the way? No. See, they all say no. But I have great respect, admiration, and I cherish women. Hillary Clinton said, you shouldn't cherish women. I said, I do cherish women. I love women. My mother was like the greatest woman I've ever met. The greatest. And Hillary, who's become very shrill, you know the word shrill? She's become shrill. She was saying what I said about Obama, and yet in 2008, she was the original birther. She's the one that started that whole thing. Hillary is a birther. By the way, don't switch your votes to Hillary, please. But Hillary is the one that started it. Check it out, 2008. And the other day, a guy asked me a question. I didn't give him an answer. I got in trouble because I didn't give him an answer. They said, isn't that terrible? The man's asking me a question. And you know what? If I did, and if I would have fought him, and by the way, it was 100 degrees in that room. We had 4,000 people. It was packed. It was packed. The last thing I wanted to do is get into a big argument with someone. I wanted to get the hell out of there. It was hot. I was soaking. The good thing is you lose a lot of weight doing this, you know, because every room I have, they're so full, and the rooms aren't meant for that many people. So it becomes hotter and hotter. It's like a steam bath. And you lose weight. It's a hell of a way to lose weight, I'll tell you that. Well, the other candidates don't lose any weight. But you know why? Because nobody goes to watch them. It's true. They have no people. No, they have no people in the room. So no, Hillary started it, and then she acted so indignant, like, how dare he? Give me a break. I don't know if she's going to win. She's got horrible numbers. She's coming down like a really, really sick rocket. She's coming down, and we're going to see what happens. I mean, who knows? Who knows? I think I don't think she's going to do well. I notice she only mentions me when she's speaking. She mentions me, which I think is a great compliment. You know, I think that means, right? What do you think? Yes? But we are going to do something that's special, and we're going to take it back. A couple of little business things because of the fact that it is the chamber. So we have to get rid of Dodd-Frank. You know, you people borrow money. And Dodd-Frank really concentrates business in far fewer hands. I mean, if you look at what the result is, I can tell you that if I want money, or if somebody with a lot of money wants money because we don't want it, you know, that's what happens. In other words, if you don't need money, they want to give you all the money you want at no interest. The lowest interest rates you've ever seen. If you need money, you know what I mean, right? If you need money, you're an African-American entrepreneur. You need money from a bank. You can't get it, right? Is that true? No, it's true. And I've had more friends, and I'm not talking about African-American only. I'm talking about period, people. I know so many people with talent, and they come to me, they want to borrow money. I said, I'm not a bank. And they said, please, I can't get the money from the bank. And yet, the banks are loaded to the gills, and it's not even the bankers. The regulators are absolutely killing the banks. I mean, I have friends that are bankers. They can't breathe. The regulators are running the banks. First of all, they sue the banks every week. I keep saying to the banks, why do you settle those suits? Why do you settle them? When I get sued, I take it take it all the way. You know what happens? If you settle suits, you get sued more. It's true. You know, in the old days, when somebody would fall in front of one of my buildings, I'd have this beautiful sidewalk, perfect. Might even be granite. Beautiful, flat, perfect. A person falls. But they don't even fall on my sidewalk. They fall on another sidewalk, and they carry them over to mine because they figure I have more. It's true. It's true. So what happened in the old days, I used to settle. Oh, somebody broke their leg. Give them $100,000. Like a jerk. And I was getting more and more people falling. I said, how did they fall? The sidewalk's beautiful. The sidewalk's perfect. But we settle cases. Now I don't settle anything. I don't settle. I got sued by a lightweight in New York. This attorney general sued me, a civil case, sued me on a thing called Trump University. Has a 98% approval rating. Has an A from the Better Business Bureau. It was this wonderful little school, not a big deal. I would have given all the money to charity, and that's what I intended to do. I get sued by the Attorney General of New York, who, by the way, the day before he brought the suit, he met with Obama. Now, I know it has nothing to do with that, right? So I get this civil suit, of which I've won most of it, but they wanted to settle so badly. Settle, settle, settle. Then I have a headline, Trump settles. I don't want to settle. I'd take it out. Let it be years and years and years. But think of it. 98% of the students have signed a document saying they love the school. And now this guy brings a lawsuit. And I say, how can I settle when everybody loved it? How can I do that? So what happens is I go to court. You get a little bad press because the press doesn't want to write about the 98%. They don't want to write that you got an A from the better. I got an A. I have a school. 98% of the people really loved it, or at a minimum liked it a lot. And I have an A rating. And now I'm supposed to pay money. And I can't do that psychologically. Does that make sense? When you settle cases, what happens is you're known as a settler. And people come at you. And I told one of the big banks, they're always settling cases. A guy gets paid like $40 million a year to run a bank, okay? You know, it's one thing if you build your own business and you make a lot of money, but it's another thing. You take over a bank and you get paid a lot of money. Okay. But he makes a fortune. And he's always settling cases. Settled one for $1.8 billion. Settled another one for $4 billion. I don't even know, where do they get all this money to settle these cases? But you hear they're being sued by the regulators. 2 weeks later, they settle. I said, get yourself a really good lawyer and let him fight it for the next 10 years. Because every time they settle the case, 2 weeks later, they get sued again. Because they're known as weak, pathetic people. It's true. It's true. And he tells me, here's the excuse. Don, we're a public company. And we don't like this hanging overhead. I said, you gave $2 billion. I mean, there's some at $10 billion, $7 billion. You know, a lot of times you'll settle a case because the legal fees are more than the case. I can't even do that. Because mentally, psychologically, I had a case in Chicago. A woman gave me, these are approximate numbers, gave me $500,000, and she wanted to. It's sort of interesting, I mean, because it's life. This is life. Do you like this stuff? This is better than some guy talking about nonsense, right? Now, the press will say, oh, he didn't talk about something that nobody wants to hear about in this group. We have young, smart people. We have entrepreneurs. They want to hear this stuff. Am I correct, Chamber of Commerce? This is better. I get sued in Chicago by a vicious, vicious woman who happened to be elderly. But she was vicious. So right away, I'm like in a bad position. So she puts up like something like $500,000 to buy an apartment from me in Chicago, and the market collapsed. So she got the money up. It's called buyer's remorse, you know, change. So she puts up the money. She's very happy. The apartment's beautiful. Market collapsed. Doesn't want to close. So let's say, I don't know the exact numbers. Let's say the apartment's $2 million. But she didn't want $2 million. She wanted $5 million. She didn't want $500,000. She didn't want her deposit back. I wouldn't have given it back, by the way. No, I wouldn't have given it back. But even if I wanted to, so she puts up $500,000, and I think she wanted like $4 or $5 million. I said, for what? Well, the ceiling wasn't painted the color. You know, I mean, all excuses, right? All excuses. And I said, I'm not going to settle. The press loved it. You probably remember the case in Chicago. So now they say, there's no way Trump is going to take over. And the woman was, I think, like 80 when she sued me. I think she was 87 when I won. Can you believe it? No, I think the case lasted for years. And then I had to go to court. And they said, we'll reduce the number. By the way, the building is incredible. It's an incredible building. It's not like it's a defective building, because if it was, that's a different ballgame. But I build good. What I really know, and I'll build the greatest wall you've ever seen. I built it. So the woman wants far more than even the cost of, for what? For psychological distress. Okay? And anyway, I said, we can't settle this. Now, for me to go to Chicago for 2 days, I was a witness for like a full day and more than that. That's a big deal. The press was eating it up because they're going to see an 87-year-old woman. Remember, she was much younger when it started. But even though she was 87, and I'll say it, she was a horrible human being. She was horrible. So she was just a vicious, and by the way, she was rich. She had a lot of money. And she said, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know this. And then we found a letter where she knew everything. All of the things she didn't know about, they wrote a letter asking for these things before she closed. And then she closed when we said, no, we're not going to give you any of those things. And then she used that. It was unbelievable. The press was devastated when I won unanimously in a jury trial. Had a very fair judge, although I thought it should have been thrown out on summary judgment, to be totally honest with you. But I won the case. The point is, when you're known as a settler, you're known as a patsy. Do you know what patsy is, right? Now, if we would have had that thinking, because it's a mindset, and I'm not sure if you're born with that mindset, if you develop it. You can certainly develop it to an extent. But it's no different than Michael Jordan was a great player when he first laced up his shoes, right? I mean, he was good. They were talking about a certain golfer. Nobody remembers this, but he was an older golfer. And his name was Julius Boros. And he won the U.S. Open maybe once or twice. He won the U.S. Amateur. Anybody hear of Julius Boros? He had that slow, beautiful swing. Slow, beautiful. And he didn't start playing golf until he was like 23 years old. And he was an accountant in Westchester, an accountant. And he'd go with his friends to the driving range for lunch. And his friends would hit balls. And then he'd go and leave. He'd never hit because he didn't play golf. And they kept saying, Julius, hit balls, Julius, hit balls. He wouldn't do it. Then after about 3 or 4 days, he said, okay, I'll hit some. In one day, in one little lunch, he was better than all of those guys. It's called talent. He was better than all of them. And he won the U.S. Amateur like a year and a half later. You guys know what I'm talking about. He won the U.S. Amateur a year and a half later, and then he became a pro. He won the U.S. Open. I mean, he's a great golfer. But there's a certain natural ability that people have, no different in business. There are people in here that are phenomenal business people. And there are people that can get better, and there are some people that can't even get better. Do we agree, fellas? There's some people they won't. Okay? They're not going to get better. But we have negotiators for us that are people that really are not natural. They're not good. I don't even know if they want to get better. I don't know what the purpose of these deals are. But we need help in this country. And I can tell you this. If I win, this country, good, thank you. This country will be so strong and so rich. We have such potential. We have all the cards. People say, oh, but China, they make this, they have us. You know, we owe China $1.4 trillion. Think of it. You know, we owe 1.9 now trillion. 1.9 trillion. Nobody even knows what a trillion. Does anybody know what a trillion is? Add it up. How many hundreds of millions is a trillion? No, think of it. Most people don't even know what it is. This was a name 10 years ago. You never even heard the word trillion. Now it's like commonplace. But China, Japan, Mexico is becoming the new China. They are taking our business. Nabisco's moving into Mexico now. I'm not eating Oreos anymore, believe me. Ford, or many of the car companies are going in. But that's not going to happen with me. We're going to have a great relationship with Mexico. But that's not going to happen with me. We're going to have fair. I want the jobs here. But think of it. So China, it's impossible for us to do business with them. As per the article, Boeing is going to get an order, but they're going to build a plant. And I guarantee you, China said, we're going to order planes, but for us to do that, we want you to build a massive plant. Well, what the hell good does that do us? That means that in a few years, they're going to be making the planes in China like they're making everything else. We've got to put a stop to it. We've got to put a stop to it. So, if and when, I'll say if and when. Because, you know, if I say when, you got all those cameras back there. If I say when, they're going to say, he's so arrogant. He's so arrogant. I'll tell you another funny poll. I'll tell you another funny poll story. The other day, a number of polls came out. And they came out, and they were all good. CNN was good. It was 24%. NBC was 29, almost 30%. Then you had Zogby, which was, I think, 32 or 33%. And you had another one at 32 or 33%. They're all like really high, killing everybody. Now, in CNN, I was beating everybody pretty badly. But that's the only poll they showed. They didn't show the other ones. I said, I wonder why, right? So we're fighting, there's a whole big thing going on. We're fighting something that's very, very unique. But so I'm going to say, if and when I win, this country is going to be so strong. It's going to be so rich. We're going to have so many jobs. You have to understand that our blood is being drained out of us by other countries with their devaluation of the currencies. They're draining us. You know, we make product better than China. If you look at our furniture, well, you know, from South Carolina, from North Carolina, you know the great furniture. If you look at our furniture, if you look at all of our, we do better. We do better than, it's better quality. I have a friend, he just ordered a massive amount of furniture from China. He's going crazy in a hotel. People sit in the chair and the chair breaks. It's like, they go down for the count. But they devalue their currency and they make it impossible for our companies to compete. And we can't let that happen. We can't let it happen. When Japan sells us thousands and thousands of cars, millions of cars, and they come in, I was in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, biggest ships I've ever seen, biggest I've ever seen. And they're floating in cars. We sell them beef. And then when the beef gets there, they don't want it. Now you tell me about beef that's sitting there back and forth for a couple of months. I don't want it. Maybe that's why they call it Kobe beef. It's aged. You know, maybe. No, it's aged beef. And they charge more money for it. But, no, think of it. We sell them beef and things like that. But it's a tiny fraction compared. And then we have a trade deficit of the kind of money that I went over. And when we have the proper negotiators, and I know the best in the world, they're all calling me. You got to give me a couple of names. I want a couple of really good African-American negotiators. Stand up. Do you want to do it a little bit? I'll take you right now. I'll take you right now. I love that. And you have some great negotiators. I know that. But I have guys call me the biggest people in business. Because, you know, nobody thought I was going to run. They said, why would he run? He's got this wonderful family, wonderful company. Why would he run? Why would he put himself through this? And I'm actually asking that question myself. But why would he do it? And nobody thought I was going to run. And they weren't even polling me. They weren't putting me in polls. And my wife said, you know if you run, you know you're going to win. She's actually very smart. No, it's true. Because I see the way people react. But if they poll you before you announce, you're never going to get anything because, frankly, nobody believes you're going to win no matter what. Nobody believes. And it doesn't matter if you say, I'm running, I'm telling you. If they say Donald Trump is running, will you? But they're saying he's not running. But she said, you know, if you actually announce, you're going to win. I said, all right. A few people told me that. But my wife said it very strongly because she's with me and we go out and we have a lot of fun and people go sort of crazy because they want help. They want to see this country be strong and they want it run by smart people. They want it run by smart people. So I announced, and immediately, in fact, some people still didn't put me in the poll. They said, well, he's just doing this to build up his brand, build up my brand. Macy's canceled me because they thought I was too tough. Macy's, they were very loyal. You know, one of my best friends was the head of Macy's. Donald, I hear we're going to have pickets in the front of Macy's. Oh, that's a horrible thing. Could I cancel your ties? I said, cancel them. They're made in China. Who the hell cares? True. Now, Macy's, I will tell you, Macy's was very disloyal. And, you know, a number of others. I mean, I had to sue, as you know, Univision. Which suit is pending? Which suit I will win a lot of money. They broke a contract. They never even sent me a letter for the Miss Universe pageant. And as you know, I sold Miss Universe recently to IMG. I'm very happy with that deal. I mean, it was a great deal, wonderful deal, and wonderful people. And I bought NBC out and I sold, and it was great. But, you know, we need the kind of people that will never let us down. They never. And if they're going to let us down, we want to know it beforehand. But what's happening is I'm getting calls from all of these the biggest people in this country. And they're the best negotiators in the world. You know, we have the best people. Our government doesn't let them act. You know, we have Carolyn Kennedy representing us against Japan, okay? And, you know, she's a nice person. You know why? I've told this before because my daughter likes her. Ivanka likes her. And I like Ivanka. Do we all like Ivanka? I love Ivanka. But she says she's a very nice person, Dad. I said, I don't care about a nice person. I don't want nice people. I want bad people. I don't care who they are. I just want great. They can be nice. They can be horrible. I want great negotiators. And we're going to have the best negotiators. But the biggest people and the best negotiators, people that have made a fortune, are calling me, Donald, I'd like to help. I want to help you. They see that they think I'm going to win. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste their dime. Believe me, right? If they thought I'm what, they're not calling. They're not wasting any time. But I've got guys that are so good that when I put one in charge of China, one in charge of Japan, I'll handle Ford. Oh, that was such an easy one. You all know that, sir. I'm not going to tell you, but that's too easy. That'll only take a few hours. I just have to wait for the call back saying, we'll move back to the United States, Mr. President. Mr. President, we're moving back to the United States. But I have the greatest negotiators in the world ready to go. Ready to go. Now, Jeb, look, not going to happen. And, you know, I think he's a nice person. And the other day he got a soundbite, because there's a very establishment rooms. You know, I gave some great zingers, and the people, in fact, the only one I heard clapping was my son, Eric Trump. You know that? It's true. I gave these great zingers, and Jeb does this stuff, and the people clap because it's, you know, very establishment in the Reagan. Look, I think Ronald Reagan liked me a lot more than he liked a lot of people. He really did like me. But that was very establishment. So what happens is Jeb, it's not going to happen. It's not his thing. And he's a nice person. Honestly, it's not Hillary's thing. It's not Hillary. It's not Marco Rubio's thing. I mean, Marco Rubio, as an example, he's got no money, zero. Now, I think that's okay. It's fine. Maybe it's good politically to say you owe money because you overborrowed your credit cards. I don't, got nothing. I mean, he's got nothing. Maybe he should, like, practice. You know, he goes to the Senate, and then he wants to say, let's go, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to run against my mentor. And I'll tell you one thing. Jeb was the mentor for Marco Rubio, right? You've heard that. And everybody said, well, Marco will never run because Jeb Bush, who was the governor then, even though I'm killing him here, Jeb Bush was the governor, and Marco will never run because of respect for his mentor. And I figured the same thing because I'm a very loyal person. I wouldn't have done it ever. I think it's very disloyal. So Jeb Bush was this mentor. And I'm saying, well, he's not going to run because, and everybody's saying that. He announced he's going to run because he's overly ambitious, too young, and I have better hair than he does, right? Do we agree? Do I have better hair than he does? And there's an age gap. There's an age gap. But I say that, and this is what bothers me about politicians. So he announces he's going to run. And they go to Jeb. What do you think of Marco Rubio? He's my dear, dear friend. He's wonderful. He's a wonderful person. I'm so happy that he's running. Give me a break. That's called politicians speak. Then they go to Marco. What do you think of Jeb Bush? Oh, he's great. He's brought me along. He's one. They hate each other, but they can't say it. They hate each other. It really does bother me when I see them and I see Jeb, and maybe that's what you want, and maybe that's the kind of people that are going to get elected, to be honest. Maybe they don't want a straight talker. Maybe they don't. No, maybe they don't. But I am so tired of this politically correct crap. Just tired of it. So, we're going to go out. We're going to fight hard. I'm not taking money, as I said before. And I am going to win, and we're going to turn our great country around, and we are going to do something. We are going to do something that maybe has never been done before, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to make it great again. You're going to be so proud that you were in this room. And now I better get back on that plane and get the hell out of here, because I have other people from South Carolina that are waiting for me. But I appreciate it, and I really do. It was a quickie, and I love you all, and we're going to do it. And thank you to the Chamber. I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We will make America great again.